If Carl doesn't talk about it, it probably won't be talked about. Aren't you glad that he is on the air and back in the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio? Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, 1330 WEBY.
All right, welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. Well, Bradley Jensen, I'm going to prove what you just said is absolutely true. You said if Carl doesn't talk about it, it probably won't be talked about. And I just want to add in there, if Carl and Big B don't talk about it, it probably won't be talked about. Because what Big B is getting ready to bring to the table, you will not hear anywhere else. But Big B, give us the timeline of this nuke thing very quickly, and then tell us what the very latest is.
Yeah, absolutely. The early September, there was a source that was leaked through Infowars.com that nukes had gone missing from DYESS Air Force Base. The same day that leak came out, we saw Lindsey Graham give the speech, if we don't go to war preemptively with Syria and Iran, Charleston Harbor will be nuked. So it got weird quick.
Yeah, and that
to say the least.
Yeah, and that was carried in mainstream media when he said that.
Oh yeah, that speech was given, I think, on live, through the mainstream. So yeah, no debating that. Then we started seeing strange things happen. We see the top two generals of the nuclear arsenal fired. We see Admiral Lovelace relieved of his duty, all on relatively look to be minimal charges at best. And I would go so far as to say they look trumped up.
Right.
To somebody who pays attention to what's going on.
Right.
Then we find out that one of the first general that was fired the same day as the leak, and that Lindsey Graham gives a speech.
Right.
But it didn't come out publicly until like 3 to 4 weeks later,
right. And
it first came out through the foreign press.
Right.
So this thing just keeps going, it keeps building. And we've updated on it from time to time. We got a couple of weeks ago, we saw people saying, hey, there was the same day that there was claims that was made that one of the nukes was detonated several hundred miles off the coast of South Carolina by these generals. That's why they were fired. That claim came out. And the same day, there was an earthquake that was reported off of South Carolina.
Right, out 600 miles off and a mile deep of water.
Exactly. So, these coincidences, if you want to call them that, just keep piling up.
Right.
Well, all right, now we have enter Dr. Jim Garrow. The history of Dr. Garrow was this. He owned or was in charge of a, quote, language school and a, quote, orphanage in China for years. Now, if there was ever a good CIA front, I would say those two could probably qualify as such. He currently runs an organization called Pink Pagoda Girls, where they smuggle Chinese girls, young infants out of China so that they're not killed by the Chinese government, or don't wind up in these torture factories and all. So, the guy does some good work. Well, earlier this year, he comes out and says, look, I've been CIA for all these years, and I'm coming out public with everything because Obama sold me out, and I'm getting back at him. By the way, he's Canadian.
Wow.
Yeah, so
wow.
Mike Shoesmith will appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I've kind of followed him ever since then, and the first piece of credible evidence that he really came out with earlier this year, in January, he was kind of the first person to really say, listen, I have facts that the litmus test of the military is, will you fire on American citizens? Right. Well, we know that in fact was being used as a litmus test. Numerous military people have come forward, current and former military have said that. Billy Allman, ppsimmons contributor, former SEAL, said that he knows that for a fact. We know and trust Billy Allman.
Right.
So we know that was credible information. He's also said that he has information that Breitbart and Michael Hastings were taken out by the government. He says that Breitbart was taken out because he was getting ready to expose Obama as a Saudi Muslim plant. Well, who else has been saying that for a couple of years?
Yeah.
Some little outfit called ppsimmons?
Yeah, ppsimmons News and Ministry through Avi Lipkin and his wife, Rachel, who were working for the Israeli secret news services. They announced that right here on Freedom Friday a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So bottom line is the guy seems to be credible.
Right.
Okay? But he says that he has 100% documentation, full proof that the two generals and the admiral were fired because they disrupted this nuclear transfer. That, in fact, the plan was to detonate these nukes, high atmosphere, EMP style, and basically just shut down the grid in the United States. Wow. And there was going to be a complete takeover. These two generals and the admiral found out about it. They disrupted it and did, in fact, detonate one of the nukes nukes off of the coast of South Carolina the same day as the earthquake. And here's the somewhat scary part. He says that as to this point, he has no information as to where the other 2 nukes are.
Yeah.
That there's some sources that say that the generals made sure that they're in good hands, but nobody really knows.
Well, let me ask you this, and you'd only have to speculate, I suppose. But if that is all true, why have these generals not gone berserk? Why has there not been some type of a huge announcement, or even and I hate to say it, even some kind of a stopping of the madman? I mean, if this is true, why haven't the generals done something like this?
The only thing that I can figure is, let's think about the revelations that have come forward in the last year about the NSA and the spying and the just overtly corrupt nature of our CIA, FBI, and then the NSA, the DHS, all of these alphabet agencies as they've become known. There are most definitely corrupt factions within all of them. So let's just think, if they can listen to you and I carry on a conversation, a father and son, at any time they want to, what in the world do you think they're listening to these generals who have been in the system for 30 years talk about?
Uh-huh.
You know, what kind of dirt do you think they may have on these guys?
Well, that's
maybe their families have been threatened. Maybe they've been threatened. You know, I mean, and again, speculation, 100%. I'm just throwing that out there. That's where my mind takes me, though. It's got to be something of that kind of depth for them to not come forward in the public eye, I would think.
Right. Well, and that makes sense. And you're right, it is just speculation on our part, but we're going by the word of this fellow, Dr. Jim Garrows, who claims to be an ex-CIA agent, and what he knows, and now we're just pulling the pieces together. Because the timeline you gave of the nukes missing from DYESS Air Force Base, I can't remember if you said this when you were giving the timeline, but wasn't it revealed on InfoWars that same day that supposedly the information was those nukes were supposed to be going to Charlotte, North Carolina?
To South Carolina. To Charleston, South Carolina.
I'm sorry. That's right. Charleston, South Carolina.
And Jim Garrow's breakdown of Lindsey Graham's speech is that Lindsey Graham was, in fact, given the information. His quote was that Lindsey Graham fumbled the football. In other words, maybe he wasn't supposed to say exactly what he said.
Right.
Or maybe he wasn't supposed to say it when he said it.
Uh-huh.
But that he was being used as a pawn to get the information out there, just the timing and or the exact specifics.
Right.
That he happened to give out to the world were wrong.
Wow. Well, please keep researching that and keep us up to date on that, because as my announcer said when I came on, if you don't hear it right here on Freedom Friday, you won't hear it anywhere else. And this kind of stuff is not going to be on even Fox News tonight. Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity aren't going to talk about it tomorrow. So you got to tune into Freedom Friday to get this. Well, Brandon, tell us. I know you've been doing a lot with the P.P. Simmons News and Ministry Network, and you've been doing some television interviews and radio interviews. Tell us, what do you have coming up next on your plate? You've got a couple of folks that you're getting ready to interview.
Yeah,